and leadership. Every Monday to Friday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. on your super dial, Mainland 98.3 FM will welcome you, roommates, as we discuss the situations.
Oga Police, no worry, I see you. You know you can do the right thing, right? You know you can do without that bribe. You know you don't even have to harass that young man because he is properly dressed. And you think he's a Yahoo boy? You don't even have to assault that citizen whom you have sworn an oath to protect. Yes, we understand that the pay is not good enough to take you home, that you are still wearing a uniform that you bought with your own money 5 years ago. It's no news that the government has not done enough by you. We feel your pain and we wish things could be different as we continue to call on government to wake up to their responsibilities. We want the police to be our friends, just as it is boldly stated across the various police stations nationwide. And from Mainland 98.3 FM, we implore you to do better. We love you and we support you always.
I want a state whereby there will be
those who could improve this situation for the good of all of us do not allow the opportunity to make things better for us. They make it better for themselves, for their comfort and their families. Cronyism is prevailing. Today, our rulers in Abuja and across some of their states, you know what they say to us when they remove subsidy and we say no. Hunger is increasing. They say that is what is in Abuja of today. The current way of governance make nation do the impossible. What it does, it makes poverty and the erosion of just society inevitable. We have gathered at this hour in this place to put an end to the national corrode. The Nigerian people are decent and hardworking people. They are equally long suffering. They tolerate for too long. Just because they are long suffering does not mean they should be following nothing. The current government's trademark is to throw empty words, all action at our problem, as if doing nothing will cause our troubles to live for sheer boredom. Unemployment increasing. Industrialization, we have not. Refinery, nothing is working. Electricity, they lie. If this is the government of, if this is the government's idea of transformation of no motion at all. If they want to stand still at the bus stop or train station and know that they are stealing from our children tomorrow for lack of investment in education, they are still embezzling the retirement benefit of hardworking Nigeria, including our grandfathers. They are stealing the port, the treasury, not even leaving some coins for us to war with. Let them be out. Out now.
That was President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the national leader of the main opposition party in 2012, the then ACN, and that was at the Freedom Park, the venue of the nationwide protest against the removal of subsidy under the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan. Remember, in 2012, there were, patriotic Nigerians, well-meaning Nigerians that took to the streets, the likes of Pastor Tunde Bakre, by the way, yesterday was his birthday, and the likes of Professor Wole Soyinka, the former senator representing Kaduna North Senatorial District, Senator Shehu Sani, the current governor of Kaduna State, Uba Sani, the former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. A whole lot of celebrities took to the streets protesting the removal of subsidy in 2012, and of course that was under the Occupy Nigeria protest. I mean, look at it right now. About 12 years after, the man that championed at the Eagle Square on the 29th of May 2023, he announced officially the removal of subsidy. And why I said officially is because provision for subsidy was not captured in the budget of the year from June till the end of the year. Of course, and that singular decision, alongside the floating of the naira, has thrown the nation into some level of chaos. And 18 months or thereabout down the line, it looks like Nigerians are trying. 16 months, yes. May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Yeah, about 16 months down the line, Nigerians are struggling and trying not just to adjust to life, because you have to adjust when there's a little you're managing. It's almost like Nigerians are surviving on nothing. Today is Tuesday, and you're welcome to every Monday to Friday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. And this is not just the only show that gives us the opportunity of having conversations like this. We'll always start from Sunday, 6 to 8 p.m. on Political Roundtable. Aside Fuad and his elite level of analysts always come around to, focus on key political decisions, political happenings around the world, in Nigeria and Africa, and that takes you from 6 to 8 p.m. Then we'll always start from Monday. But more importantly, again, it's a midweek edition of Midweek Politics, 1 to 3 p.m. 120 minutes of deep political issues. But I'm very sure that tomorrow we'll focus on the Ondo election that is coming up on Saturday, the 16th of November. The second, off-cycle elections we're having this year. Remember, we had, in September, we had Edo State on the 26th of September specifically. Now, on the 16th of November is going to be Ondo State. Of course, by next year, we'll have other off-cycle elections as well. Hey, it's my pleasure to have you join us today. My guest is already on the phone, and yesterday was an amazing time on the video. And we had a 90-minute conversation around the opposition, the challenges within his party, their own. Sees moves or developmental, interest groups that aligns with their own, that they are ready to merge, they are ready to come together in whatever capacity, whether to, stand in and run for the election as they did in 2023, where the former governor of Kano State, the former minister of defense, the first Minister of Defense without a military, background, as appointed by the then president, Olusegun Obasanjo. I'm talking about Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, the one they called the leader of the Kwankwasia movement. Let's see how it goes. That was what we had on the show yesterday, and it was super engaging. Today we're going to be looking at the economics and the politics of the very much talked about tax reforms bill. But before I bring in my guest, I'll play you something from Senator Ali Ndume. He's been very vocal. He's been very loud. He's been so unapologetic about the fact that, there is no way the tax reforms bill is going to fly. He said if they bring it to the National Assembly, it's a DOA. That means it's a dead on arrival. It was very clear on that. I'll play you what he said, and when I come back, my guest is already on the line, and we're going to talk about some of these issues on the show today. Why is there so much, drama around the tax reforms bill? There's a lot of politicization, an issue of revenue, harmonization of our, and even the traditional council in the north, they've also supported that on national TV, on Sunday night, and he said, it's not exactly like the north is against it, but we're not exactly endorsing it. And I'm like, can't you just stay in a place, for goodness sakes? There's a whole lot around the tax bill, the reforms. I would actually, when I come back, I would read, the status of the committee set out to do, and I will put it side by side, all of the drama and, the validation or the invalidation of the tax reform bill. That even the president had insisted that, withdraw, the bill, and then let them go for more consultation. But 24 hours after, the presidency released a statement and they said, we're not going to withdraw the bill. Let it go through the normal legislative process on the floor of the House. Let it be debated, and then we'll take any recommendation that the National Assembly put forward. But hey, I listen to what Senator Ali Ndume says. When I come back, I bring in my guest. My guest is an investment banker. Let's take a listen to what...
Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there is not. If there were,
in our quest to bring to the table issue-based conversation around nationhood and development, we have made 4 to 5:30 p.m. Monday to Friday the perfect time to welcome you into the Situation Room as we continue to build the narrative about public service and accountability.
Mr. President, this Senate needs to know. Mr. President, this Senate needs to lend its voice to the plight of these people. Mr. President, there is nowhere I can say it except here. This is why I'm elected. If I cannot say these things on this floor, sir, I better resign and leave.
As elections give the citizens the chance to make their political decisions, constant demand for quality leadership from those they voted into office.
Look at us now, there is nothing, we are starving. Tinubu should please do something.
It's also important to having a Nigeria of everyone's dream. Join Oᴏᴜᴛᴜ as it takes to task seasoned analysts, opinion makers, business professionals, and politicians on issues around politics, policies, governance, and leadership every Monday to Friday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. on your super dial mainland 98.3 FM. We'll welcome you, roommates, as we discuss the situations.
It's not an issue of paying tax. Nigerians are willing to pay tax, but they can only pay tax when they can afford it. Right now, people are not even able to afford what they can eat. People are struggling to survive. Let people live first before you start. In fact, it is the fairest thing to do. When you bring in something that people are allergic to it and people that don't like it, you just shut that down, and because we have more other business to do.
Thank you very much and welcome back. You're live on Mainland 98.3 FM, and this is the Situation Room. The insert you just heard is the voice of distinguished Senator Aline-Dume, the senator representing Borno North Senatorial District, saying that they're going to step it down if the bill is represented to the floor of the House, that's the National Assembly, and it says that there are a lot of more important issues to be discussed. But I'm going to ask you, when it comes to issues of tax right now, you listen to the argument of Senator Aline-Dume, and he's someone you need to acknowledge. He's never been shy away from sticking his above the ruling APC. He said, you know what, there are a lot of issues that can be discussed. People need to feed, people need to survive, rather than bringing up the issue of tax being discussed in that tax. Well, I remember when the president set up the committee, it was very clear, very, very clear, very straight up. And the president insisted that the bill will go through legislative deliberation, and let's see how it goes from there. Well, let me link up my guest. Mr. Layinka Koska is in the studio, is on the phone with me. And then we're going to look at why is there so much politicization? Why is there so much, regional sentiment brought into the issue of the tax? Why is investment, foreign direct investment, and also looking what? I'm Mr. Layinka. It's my pleasure to have
much Oᴏᴜᴜnᴜ for having me, and good evening to our audience.
Thank you. I'm sure you listened to the audio I just played, the sound bites. That was the senator representing Borno South Borno North Senatorial District. That's distinguished Senator Aline-Dume. Is absolutely against the tax reforms bill. First off, before we even go into the issue of the North should support the presidency on the tax reform bill, but some northern groups have also come out to criticize him for saying such. The 19 Northern Governors Forum, and also address the press on that. In fact, the governor of Oyo State said at the NEC meeting that they should open it up for more deliberation. Mr. Layinka, talk to us about why you think there are so much coloration to this tax reforms bill.
All right, okay, thank you very much. I want to first well, you have spoken a lot about the topic discussion, and I want to first thank you for the well. I want to let our audience know that politicians will always speak like politicians. They will speak to the emotion of the people, and they will speak in order for them to, I want to be clear on that. However, why is it necessary for us to have this tax this time? Okay, what Nigeria is raising as a country in terms of taxes or levies collection is a far cry to what we are supposed to be earning from tax. If you look at Nigeria GDP, we are doing about $200 billion as at last month's report from OECD. If you look at the tax revenue to GDP ratio in 2021, it was 6.7%. That's about the smallest after Equatorial Guinea in the world. Jump to 2022, 2023, and 2024. In 2023, we are collecting just about 9.4 tax to GDP ratio. As per the report that we have in 2024 August, it's about 10.8% tax to GDP ratio. It's the lowest in the world. So Nigeria wants a lot of things. They want development such as roads, schools, health, quality health service, delivery, and other national public. And from where I have explained in what Nigeria is collecting, so is the central right? Yes, it's right to say that when Nigerians are hungry, government is not supposed to tax it. But what has government done? Government says, as a business owner, an SME owner, an entrepreneur, if you have a business that is under a year, we will not tax you. We don't tax $1 from you. If your annual turnover in your business is below 25 million, you will not pay single digit in tax. But if you are collecting above 25 million to 100 million, you are supposed to be paying at least 20% of whatever kind of tax that you are supposed to be paid, depending on the corporate business that you are doing. They are saying that if you are earning more than 100 million, you pay 30%. That's 100 million turnover, you pay 30% in tax. This is how government provides public goods. This is the only source of revenue for government in order for them to generate revenue to fund infrastructural development and every form of development. So is government right to collect at this moment? Yes. The answer is yes, 100%. Do we have challenges in this country that will not make people pay their fair share? Yes. Are people making profits that would make them pay their commensurate tax revenue to government? Yes. A certain bank in Nigeria disclosed about 1.2 trillion in profit before tax. Another declared 1.1 trillion naira. And then Nigeria would have moved forward. We have CEO of banks, of multinationals that are collecting so much money in salary, earnings, and wages. Let them pay their fair share. Maybe for once in this country, we will be seeing development benefits from this. But he also said that he has not seen the certified, let me use that word, permit me, to copy of the tax report. Maybe when he reads, he will understand that more than accepted. Let's say, for instance, companies who are producing in Lagos are shipping goods to Kano, to Kaduna, to Maiduguri, to Jigawa to sell. The returns on investments for big corporates or any SME businesses what is the issue here actually? I do not see any reason why at this time when Nigerians actually are not really paying their fair share of taxes and government have come with reforms that they should not pay. I think it's absurd for anybody to oppose this act. And
there are a lot of questions that I already have. Borno South Senator Alin Dume said he had not gotten the certified true copy of the bill. That means he's not gone. You also made mention of the fact that the government need money. Let's start from the issue of trust. Because for any government to survive, for any government need to trust the people they are governing, and the people being governed also need to trust the government. Because you look at the level of distrust within Nigerians and their leaders, it's getting wider by the day. Almost like the way the gap between the rich and the poor. The reaction to these reforms is still a bill, by the way. It's not being passed into law. Has had some level of negative response from the people. I've had vox opinion from the people. I've had engagement with the people. I've followed social media engagement. Is this majorly about the level of distrust from the people to the government? Is that a major issue being debated here? Before we come talk about, the dependent on the state, I would give you some stats from budget and the number of states that are almost 80, 75, 90% dependent on federal allocation every month. And I will tell you how many other states are actually in those numbers. But let me ask you, does this have to do with distrust between the governed and the government?
Yes. If you want to look at it, actually the government of Rivers State took the federal government to court, saying that the federal inland revenue should not be the one to collect payee. That's personal income tax or corporate tax or state tax or withholding tax for Rivers State. Right? Lagos State joined them in that suit, and they are taking that case to court. I think they won at the High Court. The case probably is to be seen with what would come out from the Supreme Court. That is still in focus. They've not gone there yet. But the issue of trust will always come in when we discuss anything about this country. But what should people focus a multifaceted approach that will involve improved regulation? Where people-oriented regulation would be used to drive the system. The problem we have in Nigeria is that we lack a lot of things. People know that there are laws, but people don't follow these laws. So what we need actually, apart from trust, which is very, very important, we need a multifaceted approach that will help us improve our regulation. If we have our regulations in place, our institutions are working, the system is working. We have access to technology and all other support from the government. I think people will be able to pay tax. If the working environment is productive and people are making so much money in terms of revenue, they should be able to pay their tax. Like I said, Nigeria is the least in the world in terms of tax payments. Isn't that a pointer to the reason, to part of the reason why you are paying? Imagine Nigeria has been collecting at 2022 $476 billion. 2023 about, if I'm not mistaken, $363 billion. Let us assume that Nigerians have been paying their fair share of taxes. We would have improved, our public goods supply and services better than we now have that. What we have now that is below just $200 billion. So, there's always some of leakages in terms of regulation, in terms of technology, in terms of all other laws that will help us define what we do.
I want to give, and this may not exactly sound good, but it is the numbers, and this is coming courtesy of budgets. Budget says that Bayelsa State is having about 92.17% a proportion of dependence. That means they literally survive on everything, followed by Akwa Ibom. There's also Delta states. On that line is Taraba State. There's Benue, there's Bauchi, there's Nasarawa, there's Gombe, there's Kano. Lagos is having less than about a trillion, according to the IG of the others. We have some that cannot survive without the country. Secondly, it is internally and not supposed to be
very, very well in the states in terms of goods and services. The problem coming from that's
generating
all the corporate offices, head offices asked to state government, to Lagos state government report every day. Then I've seen what's inside. So what we have in this tax report is clearly showing that if state is suggesting that federal government should take whatever that state sells in terms of goods and services, just 10%. Increase state share by 55%, and local government remains at 5%. So if Bayelsa state government can look inward and say 2,000 because people are building everything, it's 24 to the state confines. 10% goes to the federal government, 35% goes to the local government. That the money, I can assure you that many of these states that I've mentioned are running on autopilot. Politicians just come in the face of the month, sit down, share facts, collect dollars, come back, convert dollars to dollars, keep it in account, and share it at the end of the month. That's all they know how to do. They don't know how to look inward to grow the revenue, not statutory revenue in the state. Or they look at the statutory back allocation that comes to their state every month. So who do you blame for that? It is time for us to start asking questions from state governors and local of national tax. What are you doing with it? How are you looking inward to also generate revenue, help do exports from that state, or do some kind of state-to-state services exchange and grow the revenue of the state? Must you wait to share facts at the end of the month? So they're just lazy governors
of true federalism, and on that basis, it is assumed that Nigeria is one. Whatever it is generated in Lagos can be shared in Kano. However, events in the last few years have shown that certain domesticated laws or policies seems to contradict the entire idea of a true federalism in the first place. And this is what I mean. The Kano, they call them the Hisba. You cannot. I've been to Kano a couple of times. It's a pretty sensitive, state in terms of religious. They have a unique way of doing their things. There are places where, you cannot even lodge in an hotel, even if you are with their domesticated laws. Beautiful. But if the VAT that is being raised in Lagos from breweries or from alcohol company, does that itself not negate the principle of true federalism? Can't I go to our state, for instance? What do you make of that? Alcohol is not being sold in Kano, but the VAT from alcohol in Lagos can be spent in Kano. Can you respond?
Where I had the opportunity to respond to this kind of question, and the answer is simple. If Kano State do not want to sell alcohol, Ghana State has the highest inputs in terms of export. They have that Ghana State I just mentioned, right? You look at a million market for cattle, goats existed in the north. So the north sell alcohol. How much is the tax that they get from alcohol anyways? They have local border routes that are close to them. You have Nigeria. You have so many links that are between, I think, the Ghana Magatari and the Ghana State. That is close to these places. So the idea for me is that people should do the main things the local government are doing. Speaking of true federalism, this new reform that people are speaking against is also a form of restructuring. Before you have federal government taking 60%, and now 5% are taking off federal government added to the state. That is decentralization for me, if you ask. The reform is proposing 5% increment, 5% increment for the state, from 50 to 65. Federal government from 15 to 10. That's decentralization. So the federal government, why the state government takes 35%?
Government action started by asking the national